Donaldson here with ESPN interviewing the two-time international champion, Stanely Richardson. I got a few questions for you. Can I call you Stan? I'm assuming I can.
Absolutely.
I was wondering what life has been like post-curling premise that you were in.
Oh, well, things have kind of slowed down for me, after I broke my ankle in the '85 curling championship in Tuscaloosa. I went through months of rehab, and things kind of went downhill from there.
Tuscaloosa is where they hold the Pan American Games and the International Curling Championships. Stanely Richardson here, he claims to be the only man who has ever won 2 consecutive championships. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, not only do I claim to have won 2 consecutive, but I actually have. I have the documentation to back me up on that. I think it's great that a man like myself, I was born very poor child. See, I was born in Macon, Georgia. I was born very poor, very poor. We didn't have much ice, so I didn't get into curling until I was probably 27, and I was just on vacation and up in Tuscaloosa actually and a guy drafted me in and I played and then I started selling pantyhose. I started advertising, I was like a spokesperson and got a lot of money for that.
I mean, we can all admit to pantyhose being our first job in many cases, including everybody that I know. But when you say that you worked with pantyhose, does that mean that you wore the pant? I'm just going to assume you wore them. Next question. When you say that you wore them, what do you mean? What do you mean by that when you say that? What do you mean by that when you say that? What do you mean?
What I mean is, that curling is a sport that requires a delicate hand. It almost requires a lady's touch. Now, that's why I have ladies' hands. I inherited them from my father, and of course, and because of my ladies' hands, I am able to put on pantyhose. Man's hands, I don't know if you've ever tried, man's hands cannot put on pantyhose. So that's why I sell pantyhose.
When you say pantyhose, do you mean pantyhose or pantyhose? Well, let's get back onto the subject at hand, women's hand. When you won those 2 championships, you said that you dedicated your win to some Ronald Goodspeed. Now, I don't know if we don't have any record of that. So when you say him, you mean whom?
Ronald Goodspeed, he's an interesting character. See, Ronald Goodspeed was a relative of mine. Now, I don't mean relative by we were related by blood. I just mean in the curling circuit, as good as I was, he was relatively good compared to me. So that's why I always considered him my relative, because we were opponents, you see, but he had a terrible decapitation right before one of the national games, so that's why I dedicated my wins to him out of memory of our competition.
Okay, so Ronald Goodspeed, after he got his head decapitated, we had left in the archives actually a solid gold-plated commemorative championship cranium that was made after his face. And I thought we'd give that to you because we thought that'd be a nice touch for having you on the show. And we actually have as well, for all the fans in the audience, a matching one. So I thought that'd be nice. Stanley, it was wonderful having you. Take your head back and get a head start on your life ahead.